we gave 2 days to listeners to talk about the Dumso.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things we did was, I think on the first day, we allowed different people to call in.
Yeah.
And we saw the extent of inconvenience, the extent of angst and anger in the system. The government seems impervious to that. The second day as well, we did focus on printing industry. We've spoken to people in the cold store industry. We've spoken to people who are in SME. You know, I went to a barber yesterday and he says, look, he's bought a new generator and he's running it. So his cost of business have gone up. So there's a lot of that. I think just a question of decency and good sense, you will give a timetable. But politics overrides all of those things in this country. So right now, the minister, nobody's really talking about a timetable. Now the board chair of ECG is now telling us the president has personally intervened. And I think that's honestly disgraceful. I mean, you're telling me that you need the president of the republic
to personally get involved.
And he says it to make it seem as if it's such a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
It's the sign of complete failure. Do you understand? It's like you're in a sector, you're managing a sector, you're the deputy minister, and you're telling me that the president personally intervened to ensure, and even that intervention didn't lead to a timetable.
Yeah.
ECG hasn't changed what they're saying.
And we don't have a timeline to when this will end.
As we're speaking, the Ghana Water Company is telling us that they can't even be sure of water supply because they didn't directly want to say it, but Mr. Mate was clear. Now, imagine if you are a water producer, all right, for a water utility, and you don't have a timetable to work with. So you can be producing water.
And before you know, it's not, the tap is not
and
running.
now the machine can get damaged because when you have to restart it, abstracts all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So the damage that this intransigence is causing it will live for many, many years. And for me, I think that the president should take a hard look at himself and say, look, what are you trying to achieve? State of the Nation address, you said, well, there's been no Dumso in my tenure in 7 years. Really? Okay, now this is the 8th year. See what's going on. You know, we have to place citizens' interest and the interest of the country ahead of egos and bragging rights and petty politics. If you are petty, you can never see the big picture. And for me, this is completely disappointing. Then on the third day, we spoke about water.
Yeah.
Again, Stanley Mate did his best, but you can tell that the system is constrained. There are issues of poor planning, which we agree, but there are also issues of polluted water, which again is a failure of the government. Now, I know that it's not the government that goes to pollute the water, but we give you a mandate. When politicians, when they have power, pick and choose what to use it for. They can arrest you on the flimsiest excuse and detain you because it's in the national interest. Yet they look on as people devastate all our river basins. We've shown you this on television where every river basin is completely devastated because some people want to make money out of galamsey and the government doesn't want to stop it because it will affect its electoral fortunes. Again, that's a dereliction of duty. So now the water company is under stress because of that, and then there's not enough power. So people who are supposed to get water once a week, sometimes they haven't had water for 3 months. So the basics, if you take the hierarchy of needs that Maslow developed, basically you need food and water, right? Then you need shelter before you think about other things. Even water to drink. In a country that is blessed with the 3rd largest man-made lake in the world. We are not Niger, we are not Chad, we are not Djibouti. We are Ghana. We have the 3rd largest man-made lake in the world. People who live less than 10 kilometers from the river basin can't get water to drink because a few people, greed, corruption, and dereliction of duty have allowed galamsey to persist. This is a complete and utter failure. So you have the Ghana Water Company is abstracting rubber, mud, and they're damaging the machines. And then there isn't enough power to even power those machines. People don't have reliable water to drink. So these are the basics.
Yeah.
Okay. And then top of that, on Thursday, we had this whole discussion about SML.
GRA,
you give a company a contract to do, revenue assurance. For me, it's a complete and utter mess. You know, that's just the way to look at it. And I think the government should set up. You know, now there's a clear separation. There's a new team in place. They should work. I hope they were not put there thinking about elections. They are younger and fresher. They should get to work. Make sure the contractors finish the roads. Make sure the Ghana Water Company has the reliable power to give us water to drink. let's get to work. We like post and grandstanding and giving big speeches, and yet things are not working. As we speak, transport fares are going up.
Yeah.
All right. The cost of living has gone through the roof. We're going through a situation where we've had like 3 crises in less than 2 years. Banking crisis led to economic crisis. There's the cost of living crisis. Now there's even a power crisis. Think about that. Financial sector, 2017 all the way through 2022. COVID came, health crisis.
Yeah.
Then you had inflation getting to 50%. Then you have Citi moving from 4 to 13. All of that affecting people, cost of living. We read the report last week, cost of living crisis in the country.
Yeah.
We haven't recovered from that. Then now you have on top of that a power crisis. And then you even give people a timetable so they can plan and move on to make money to sell. Now you are dealing with pride. What are you doing? What are you? Can't anybody talk to these guys and say, look, what you're doing is wrong? You need to, what you're doing is that you are making people lose confidence in leadership and the system we run. People say, oh, democracy. Democracy is not the problem. It's bad governance that's the problem. Democracy doesn't know anything. You choose people. Don't use democracy as an excuse for incompetence. Democracy didn't tell you to allow people to do galamsey. Democracy didn't tell you to do that. Do you get me? Get to work and stop people from polluting our water bodies. It's not democracy's fault. What has democracy done? You hear me? So we sort of gloss over the issues and we make it seem as if there's this problem with the system. It's the people who are running the system who are not doing the right thing. That's the issue. So now you have a situation where all our water bodies are polluted. And we're showing it on TV for 2 programs. We've shown it. It's everywhere. We don't want to fix it because somehow some interest at stake want to use that. And I don't even know what makes people think that people who support galamsey are more than those who don't support it. I don't even understand. We spoke to a woman in the Western regions. They had a whole group of people who are anti-galamsey. There are few people who are making money out of galamsey, and we are petrified to deal with it. It's cowardice. It's not because it's a voting anything. Are you telling me that people can't see that they are drinking polluted water? Are you telling me that when you go to Takwa or when you go to all these communities, Ayamfuri, when you go to Apiete, that the people there or Wasei Kropong, that the people are so crazy that they prefer polluted water to get a few coins? And I tell me, Ghanaians want to be led properly. And let's not, even if the majority want galamsey to happen, are you there to endorse the wrong? Why do we put people in office? So we leaders have to stand up to do the right thing. And this galamsey problem, see how the problems are connected. Mm-hmm. Poor planning of whatever you've not planned, then lack of enforcement of the rules, then you allow people to go on water bodies with chamfans to dredge and destroy the water, then there isn't enough power to even get the water company to even. So 2 days ago, we got a message from the Western region that the whole of Impinsin, Daboasi, whatever, they're not going to have water for like a few weeks because of the multiplicity of things. So on the surface, Ghana is great. Yeah. Every 8 years we do elections. But look, the kind of potential we have, Caleb, we should be doing so much better. I'm just appealing to the leadership. And this is not just the political leadership, the chiefs. They must also speak to the politicians. Say, look, you can't allow our water bodies to be polluted like this. All right? The priests, the pastors, talk to the politicians. They come to your churches. Convert your Sunday sermons into national agenda issues. It's not just every day, because if we don't do this, 60% of our water bodies are compromised. Do you know what that means? Our children will be importing water from abroad. I mean, what kind of society do you want to create? Ghana is facing an ecological crisis. Go and read Professor Ntiamense's book. Ghana is on the verge of ecological suicide. Cyanide in all our water bodies. You can't even get proper water. Now they talk of vegetables. The vegetables you are buying to eat is either fecal matter or mercury. Children are being born deformed. And we are looking on because of votes. If this is not incompetence, I don't know what it is. You have to stand up for the truth. That's why we put you there. Don't be afraid of bad people. What are they doing? Galamsey. How much money will you get from galamsey? What do you do with that money? That you allow a foreigner to give you money. And you Ghanaians in the communities that bring in galamseyers to destroy your cocoa farms, to give you a few coins. How? That somebody has left his country. He's wearing chalewote and he sat on a plane. He's not even properly dressed. Comes to your country, gives you a few coins, and you connive with him to go to a forest and destroy it. And then the various agencies are looking on because politics, because of money. For the love of money is the root of all evil. That's what has happened. Take an area of, you have drones. Go to the Western region and look at the water bodies. People are drinking water that is causing their babies to have deformities before they are born. And the doctors have said this. Media has shown it. The leaders just don't want to do the right thing because it's about they are petrified. For whatever reason, we don't know. We need leaders to stand up who will say wrong is wrong. Under whatever guise, under whichever party, you can be a party chief executive, whatever. If you are doing galamsey, you should be arrested. And we should lead by example. We shouldn't victimize those who try to solve the problem and in the name of politics, just do window dressing. So in a few years, you won't even have water to drink. Coupled with all your challenges. Look at the crisis. So you have economic crisis, financial crisis, the cost of living crisis,
leadership crisis.
Now you have even ecological crisis, because now it's coming to rain. Go to the Odo. There are places in the Odo that a whole cow can walk on. A river body, a water body. That's
so
when in the 80s people could catch fish in the Odo River, it's been so polluted that you can actually walk across it. Now, if there's high tide and there's rain of a certain volume, Accra is getting flooded again. I'm not a prophet of doom. If there's high tide and there's a rain, like sustained 3-hour rain, it's going to cause, do you get me? And all these problems are linked to leadership. People must step up and lead. Minister level, DC level, AMA boss, KMA. People must own the spaces they've been given and lead. Do the right thing. That's why we put you there. Don't allow problems to fester to a point, then you start complaining and blaming the people for it. If you allow people to do the wrong thing for 10 years, that becomes their culture. So what you need to do is to incentivize good behavior and punish bad behavior. And you must be consistent. You must apply the whip, whether it's an MPP or NDC person. Don't pick and choose who to. If you do it that way, you are incentivizing impunity. And impunity is when people do the wrong thing knowing it's wrong, but they don't care because they know there'll be no consequence. That's why people are doing galamsey in broad daylight and we can't do anything about it. We have so many people, police and soldiers sitting in Birmingham. What are they doing? You have the whole force of state. And this is people committing crimes against the state. The water they drink in the Western region is polluted. It's a crime. It's not like my preference for somebody. You are committing crimes against the state. And we are looking on. And yet police are harassing people in traffic lights and asking them to give them what is in your car. Do you have fire extinguisher? Is that why we put you there? When people are destroying our water bodies, you don't have, you see my point? So prioritization. You spend your, somebody called you this week, at Jekojo, when there's light off, armed robbers come, shoot loud gunshots, kill people, and they do it consistently. Consistently. It's 2 a.m. They shot a guy. He had to take him to my general. He called into the radio station. What are we doing about that? What are we doing about that? Yet you drive across, somebody will stop you and ask you, hey, somebody saw me 2 days ago. Your car, do you have? What are you asking me this for? Is that how do you understand? Let's use the resources to solve the problems of the country. That's why we are here. We will all die. But the truth is that while we are alive, we have to use the gifts God has given us to make people's lives better and live it. The way we are going, whatever system we are living for our children is not fit for purpose. And the environment we are living in is coming to rain. From May, it's going to rain a lot in June. If we don't take care, there's going to be flooding again. And then they'll start blaming us. We always find a way of deflecting. Oh, media. Is it the media that caused the water to be polluted? Oh, you people, you don't say anything until June. We don't say anything until June. What have you said to your DC? What have you said to your mayor? What have you said to the guy who's pouring water in the drain next to you? What have you said to your colleague who doesn't take part in cleanup when they are doing it? What have you said to him? What have you said to your pastor who's preaching messages that don't make sense and all the time is collecting money, using it for his own personal project? What have you said to him? Why are you blaming me for the dysfunction in our society? Is it my fault? Do you get my point? We are looking on and we are committing ecological suicide. And then we all applaud because, it's okay. It's not okay. We need to rise up and live properly. We need, somebody needs to ventilate our mind so we can think better. Did you see? So when I put the issues from Monday to Thursday, of course, Friday I'll be frustrated. I'll be frustrated on Friday. Why won't I be frustrated?
But why? Because we've been talking all week, and simply all that people have been demanding throughout our conversation is a plan, a schedule, so that they can sort of organize their lives properly. And is this too much to ask for? We've simply not had any response to this call for a doomsday timetable,
Simply
so that
because
in
they
the
don't
mess
care.
that we are in the power crisis that we are having, we can properly plan our lives.
Yeah,
It looks like
simply
on top of
because
all
they
the
don't
crises
care.
we've had, from banking crisis, financial crisis, COVID-19, it appears now the icing on the cake is a leadership crisis. Because
Absolutely.
if you're not listening to the people, you're not doing what the people are asking for. On top of that, you are looking on while the environment is deteriorating, and a few people are holding the nation at a ransom, committing crimes against humanity and crimes against the state. Do we not then have a leadership crisis?
Let me just read a
have
message.
people not been saying enough?
Let me just read our message to you. So we're sort of putting a lot of things together, right? Here's a listener. It says,
Yeah.
Bernard, the Chado issue is the contractor's fault. He has destroyed all the pipes because he's building gutters. And the contractor is doing nothing to fix it. As is the dispute with the Ghana Water Company. So this is happening. Somebody's building gutters and he's damaged the pipes that supply water to the people.
No, but ideally,
Yeah, so
you
now,
should.
so
you
now
should-
the community doesn't have water because some contractor is building a gutter.
the entire community doesn't
Yeah.
have water.
But this is what Clifford Brahma said to you. So that's the other thing, silos, right? So somebody's building a road in Kasua.
Yeah.
So he decides that this is how he's going to do the road clearing. He decides that, and this is because, you see, the problem in Ghana is enforcement.
Yeah.
Coordination and enforcement. It's a leadership issue. You see, because if you, and I give this example, you are the general manager, you have news editor, you have programs manager, you have sales. If there's always conflict between sales and programs and news,
Nothing.
it means you, the guy in charge, is not coordinating. Be the coordinating ministry. So now somebody is building a road, and then and this is the other thing, we don't enforce standards, because again, in societies that work, if you're building a road, there are certain things you must do. In Ghana, somebody will just bring one trip of sand and put it on the roadside.
Yeah.
There's no signage,
Yeah.
whether day or night. Now you can run your car into the sand.
And they often heap it at the best part of the
Now,
road.
this person who's doing the road is allegedly a contractor. He probably has an engineer who's helping him to do this work. People are not wearing fluorescent clothing. Nobody's wearing a hard hat. So they go and start working. They don't even take cognizance of traffic flow. So they decide that they will build this road and they'll do the pothole patching at 6 o'clock. At the heat of rush hour morning traffic, they don't care. Nobody is enforcing standards because, but I'm doing you a favor. Because the political leadership makes you think they're doing you a favor. So it follows through. The guy who's also building the road thinks he's doing you a favor. Now, and the other thing about regulation is that regulation in Ghana is now more punitive. So it's not directional to let people, it's not to benefit people. It's more like we'll find you so we can also take money to build our own things. Okay? Because the customer or the citizen is not at the heart. A citizen-centered regulation of, say, the built environment. All right? So you're building a road. Why on earth would you go and break a water pipe? You even need a license. You need to confer with the guy, Ghana Water Company, before you start building. But because you're a contractor, you got your contract through, maybe you spoke to the minister or whatever, you feel empowered, you start doing the road. And you are saying, even the new Legon, I'm doing them a favor. So you break the Ghana water pipe, you build the road, they don't have water to drink. Then we have to spend another money because leadership is losing its credibility. Because you see, credibility is from consistency, from competence, and from your own character. So if leadership is corrupt, leadership is not competent, they don't have the credibility to enforce rules. Everybody's looking behind their back. So you have people who are in positions who are supposed to regulate built environment. They are afraid. They are petrified. Because everybody's afraid of what the higher political authority will say. All right? Now, we will all get destroyed if we build a society like this. We all subject ourselves to laws, whether it's police, IRS, or whatever, so we can have a civilized society. That's what civilization means. But if everybody can do anything they want and the leaders are watching on, it means we are not civilized. If somebody can build, you say you've banned galamsey, yet look at the import of changfans into the country. The thing that they used to do the galamsey is coming through your port. Yet you announce that galamsey. Do you understand me? So you are sending wrong signals. People carry an excavator from Tema Port, put it on a payloader, and it goes all the way to Ayamfuri through 25 police checkpoints. He is driving to go and give a lecture. Police is asking for his driver's license. Somebody has an excavator and a chanfan on a payloader. He goes through 25 police checkpoints, and he is in a hurry to come and go and give a lecture. They are asking where is his the fire extinguisher because they want to take money from him. I mean, how can that society advance? Yes, you have said you have banned galamsey, but look at the number of excavators. People who are not from Ghana sit behind the scenes, and Ghanaians work with them with machines that they've transported from Tema all the way to Ayamfuri to be digging gold. And then you say you ban galamsey. You're a joke. Go to Côte d'Ivoire. Just Côte d'Ivoire, their water bodies. A friend of mine went to Côte d'Ivoire. She sent me photos of their water bodies just next to the Western region. When you compare the water bodies in Ghana to Western region, we are not serious. The Ivorians are much more serious and they enforce their rules. Mm-hmm. You get me? When it suits us, we use them to win elections. But when we come, we don't govern like they do. No. In fact, there was a time they even complained that because some of our water bodies go to their country, we are polluting their water bodies. Yeah. Because rivers like the Bia, they go into Côte d'Ivoire. They were saying, why are people allowing miners to pollute your water? But we sit here because we do politics, democracy, delegates, party in here sika. Until we'll kill everybody because of that. So now we are seeking the political kingdom at the expense of common sense. And we are all looking on. Chiefs are looking on. Priests are looking on. But everybody's looking on. Because either the guys from my hometown, we from my tribe, is from my church, or whatever. Or we play golf together. So we'll all sit down and let them misgovern. And then wait for another party to come. They start. And then they'll start doing the same thing. We need to wake up and talk about these issues on a daily basis. The dereliction of leadership, the poor enforcement of rules, and the indiscipline of the average Ghanaian. But I have people who live in France say, hey, you are free in Ghana now. Even Togo. There are some things we do. So we are
not talking enough. Every day we are talking about this issue.
You can talk, but you see, sometimes you have to be consistent. So it's not just talking. You have to be consistent. You have to be clinical. You have to point the issues out on a continual basis. Water can move a big mountain if it keeps dropping at the same place for a long time. All right? So don't pour water today, go and sleep today, tomorrow, and come back. That's why we are here again this morning. We are not here for lamentations. We are saying to Ghanaians that start some word.
Bernard, you busa timetable. Don't show timetable. You busa give us timetable to guide our lives. You won't do it. This galamsey issue. What have we not done?
Well,
what have the chiefs not done?
They haven't done anything.
What have the police not done?
Because they haven't done anything.
What have we? We even sent petition to Parliament.
No.
We went on the street. We have traveled across this country. We have reported on this galamsey issue.
There are many things. There are many things you can do. So, for example, galamsey. Let me give you an example.
Yes.
There are many things you can do. So, there's the issue of letting people see what is going on.
Yep.
So you get more minds to work together. The other thing is that it's not just letting people see it. They must also know and understand the danger it causes. Then you must also have people work together. So sometimes we call Chris Gordon, not because we don't know what we want to say. He would not explain to you the effect of galamsey. Somebody does a documentary, Edem Srem. I bring him on my program. It's consistent. Somebody's doing a demonstration, you ventilate it, you put it on air. Then you now go to community organization. Now the communities are getting organized. Now there are many public spaces. It's not just radio. People are giving speeches. Now you go to churches, they are preaching. You go to Rotary Club. Talk about it. When you invite you to a Rotary Club, take part of it and show it to them. There are duty bearers there. Full Gospel invites you. Take it. You see, when people see and hear and understand and know, their action will change. The purpose of communication is to change action. So don't just say, we've said it enough. If they are not changing, you haven't said it enough. Right? And you have to find different ways of saying it. Because you can't take a gun and go and shoot somebody. Because your job is communication. So if you've said it enough, then close the station and go and sleep. You haven't said it enough. So come back, look for a different way of saying it. Look for new words to use. Look for new pictures
Bernard,
to show.
What should we tell them to give us a doomsday timetable? We have showed them people who have been shot. I understand you, but I understand you. But if you are talking and the people are supposed to be doing are not listening, or they decide they will not do
doomsday timetable.
Yes,
there are many things you can do.
Yes.
So you've shown that this whole week, what has Vivian been doing? CNR. Monday they went to they went to Newtown.
Yes.
Then Tuesday they went to Tema.
Yes.
Then they went to some shops.
Yes.
They are using the platform they have to tell the story. That's one. He can decide to go to court. So he can decide to say, okay, I'm picking people who have been directly affected by doom. So do a class action. There are many things you can do to bring change. Somebody can do a demonstration. Okay, somebody can do a one-man protest. All of that is possible. So the point is that the one that you are good at, do it. Don't stop and complain about somebody else's own. So he's a lawyer. He can say, let me look at legal precedent. Is it possible to get a court to compel a minister to give you a timetable. That's one avenue. But you see, at the core of it, we media people, we are storytellers. We are a platform for public discourse. Okay, we must be consistent in what we do, which is why every day you ask me and I come on Friday, I'm wild. I'm wild because this is the platform I have.
Yes.
Now, the other thing is that media is also a light. So when you shine the light on a thing, somebody picks it up. So somebody can be preaching in church and say, I saw a documentary on Citi where they were showing that children born in galamsey communities are deformed. Then you also pick it up and do something. Do you get it? Yeah. So we are lucky because our platform affects many things.
But it looks like now the onus of leadership lies on the people. Meanwhile, the leaders who come promising all that they say they will do, I get the role of the media and everything, right? Yeah. But from all that we are saying, it looks like now we are leading our leaders to do what they have to do. And that's my problem, because these people have been to the Yales, the Oxfords, the Cambridges.
Okay, I get you. You are talking about political. The question is, who is a leader? So a leader is a duty bearer who has responsibility. Okay. Now, I'm not absolving anybody.
Yes.
You are a leader.
Yes.
Right, you are below 40, you are sitting on air, you have an hour to determine the mindsets of people.
Yeah.
Show leadership. Work hard, live by example, and be consistent. Stay away from corruption and do your work well. It will show. You get it? Now, there are other leaders. So there are other people who also have different things they do.
Yeah.
Okay, so research, Abebio.
Yeah.
He's a leader. Why? He will go and do research. He will tell you the effect of galamsey. He will do what do you call it? Multidisciplinary research. Maybe you get somebody from CSGs, you get somebody from climatology. They do a research, 20 years study on the effects of galamsey. He puts it on air. He sends a copy to the Minister of Environment. He's leading. All right. Then you have a pastor. Maybe he's the Metropolitan Archbishop of Cape Coast. He decides that he will spend the week doing a program about citizenship. He's leading. Then you also have a chief. He will say, well, the next time I meet a police, I'll tell him that the way the galamsey is going, if you don't do something about it, I will tell my people not to vote for you. That's also leadership. Do you follow? Do you see where I'm going? All of us have to get up and do what we have to do. Then Sky will also go on air. He'll say, okay, I'm a lawyer.
Yes.
I'm going to lead a class action to demand that this type of thing stop.
Council.
Do you understand my point?
Council.
He's also leading.
Gibson.
Do you understand?
When are you going to go?
Now, I am not saying that the politicians are failing because we are failing.
Yeah.
They have a different calculus for calculating what they want to do. Mm-hmm. They see elections as everything. They want to seek the political power first, and when they win it, they think what to do with it. Now, we should not allow that. So even in voting, whether it's a local election or a national election, you have to be proactive. And then you know that as a citizen, your job is not just to vote. You must also be engaged.
Bernard,
because citizenship is more than voting.
Right.
Sky,
Richard, the last guy is here too.
Oh, the first comment, Sky won't love it.
Okay. He's a lawyer. He doesn't like this one.
No,
It's a Sharia law kind of thing.
He said, Bernard, I think we should apply the death sentence to the galamsey issue. Oh, this man. People who are caught and are put to death, okay, so it's basically saying that people are caught and put to death. The public gets to know it. I will put fear, or it will put fear in them. What they are doing is killing us slowly. Hence, we should give them a fast one. Let's not wait for a large number of people to be deformed before we get angry.
Formula One justice.
It will be too late by then. Well, I mean, the comment there is, I mean, we as a world, we are moving away from the death penalty. Because we do not. We the progressives.
It's still in some countries, so.
We the progressives and
it's in China.
Yeah, some way. So death penalty.
The point is that I think the whole essence is that we should have harsher punishments for such acts. I mean, look, when I saw the sentences that were meted out to the foreigners, 20 years in jail, I think that's harsh enough. If it's publicized enough, I don't think that it will be an attractive thing for foreigners, except that when a Chinese man does, we find a way of jumping bail for the Chinese person.
Over KFC. Bernard! Just this man Friday. Some of these payloaders with machines had police and military men escorting them and heading towards the north This one is coming in from Ni in Choco. And
police and military escorting them to the north.
Right. The north, yes. This one said, Bernard.
Now they can hire them to escort people going to do mining.
Well, merely seeing.
You can't know the difference between the one doing right and wrong. So now we don't even know who is doing right mining or wrong mining.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So what's the Ministry of Environment doing?
Well, I see the minister.
What's
the EPA doing?
Seminars and workshops.
It's a sad situation.
I know. I agree with you. This was a Bernard. I always ask, who goes to war without bullets? I hear war against galamsey, and we are approaching it with kids' gloves. Drastic measures must be taken against this menace. And this one said, good morning, Bernard and team. Bernard, I am feeling you this morning. Communication must and should change behavior. Ultimately, we all must wake up and act now. And this one from, is the name Cinch? Okay, Cinch says, Bernard, it say we should all stand up for our rights. We should stand with purpose, truth, firm in the fight. Fierce, though the challenges of Ghana may be, we all do our bit to make change happen. Inch by inch, everything is a cinch. It's a cinch.
Oh,
well, is there a poem or what? I really don't get a point.
It's a point. Can't you get a point? Didn't you do poetry in school?
Inch by inch, everything is a cinch.
It's a point. It's trying to give poetry. I appreciate his effort.
So he said we should pinch those who are in the galamsey. Inch by inch.
I see. Good morning.
Morning.
Can you put this discussion on your YouTube platform? Well, we do that every day.
It's
so when you go there,
live,
that's right. So when you go there,
live,
after the program, and even as we speak, you'll get it. This one said, Bernard, the issue is not galamsey. We have legalized that activity by calling it community mining and giving them excavators to go into the forest reserve.
That's why the group that protested in the Western region said that community mining has to be paused, because now they are going under the guise of community mining and doing galamsey.
They are mining in
I agree with this comment.
and all of that.
I feel you, Bernard, but we are talking enough. You, Bernard, speak loudly and consistently enough. So I think you must change the we to mentioning the names and positions of people responsible. The major problem is that the hearts of the overwhelming majority of Ghanaians, particularly those in authority, are crooked, warped, greedy, selfish, and ungodly. All of these do not change by the current approach. This is why I'm sure something spectacular beyond what is being done now will undoubtedly happen. When? I don't know. But it will happen nonetheless.
That's the coded one.
Look what happened.
We pray. Good morning, Team Citi.
Morning.
The power outages are annoyingly irritating, to say the least. I'm one of those who asked for a doomsday timetable from the ECG. Please tell the Minister of Energy I have drawn my own timetable with ECG. Which ECG is not following?
ECG is not following his timetable.
The next sentence.
Where do I send the timetable? The arrogance and disrespect from the power sector players is irritating, to say the least.
You do the timetable after following the thing for like 2 weeks.
And right now they are doing their own.
He ought to have sent it to Mimi should have sent
For approval. No, to Parliament or to the
energy minister in that interview said those who say that there is
they want timetable, they should produce their own. Mimi has produced their own and they are not following that thing.
Bernard, where are the gods in those rivers we used to fear? Well, you know, many of these rivers are deities, right? And the person
They are
this
supposed
is
to be. Please.
Okay, they are supposed to be.
Bernard,
Mark Claude is sending that one.
the other time we went to the Eastern region, they had Caleb, you were with us.
I was there.
The people had redirected
Completely.
the course of the river.
Completely.
And then the god there, they have removed him. I went to put him somewhere.
They have relocated the
I'm not joking, no.
Respect is not in their house.
They said, I just said, so they have removed the
But you know you
fetish.
can't try that in some places.
That's what I'm saying. That's some of them.
Atamaga blow.
You can't try that in some places.
No, Philly, myself,
Vivian, and then carry the gun.
Diverted the thing because of
They have
galamsey.
relocated the thing.
And then there's a fetish thing that they have removed it. And they've got to give him some quarters under some trees.
Don't try that.
So, who's the performer?
Oh man.
Welcome. This was a Citi. It's been 48 hours. I've not had electricity. My stuff in the fridge and the freezer are messed up. Oh, Charlie, sorry. Something we bought in bulk to save is all now gone. We slept with one eye open and the other one closed throughout the night because we had to open the windows for air.
To a problem.
The kids could not sleep. I am angry. I'm an angry man, you say, this morning. It's coming in from Amadou, who is listening to us in Lashibi. And this one says, good morning, team. The president said he will put his presidency on the line if it comes to galamsey. And what has he done about it?
He has given up.
Now a dollar is 14 cedis. Yesterday, one of my customers came around to buy a mobile phone. And when he came around, phone prices had been increased due to the cost of the dollar against it, basically. Now, the phone was 1,950, but it's currently going for 2,150 Ghana cedis, and it's all because of the dollar. I don't like doing politics, but the young businesses in Ghana are suffering. This is coming in from Dennis Adusu from Dansoman. Yeah, and this one says, good morning, Bernard. As if that's not enough, the little we are making for our pensions, no, we are not even assured of it, that you will be paid. Yesterday I saw a story that by 20-something, we will not be able to have enough to spread around. Bernard, but that's a very troubling 15 years from now when we are getting there. We will not have enough money to take care of us. Then something is really, really bad with SNITs.
I think we'll have to get some clarity.
I think SNITs themselves should respond to that.
Yes.
I mean, it's very
Or to leave it hanging, and it's attributed to ILO something.
Yeah, it's a very
SNITs will have to say something.
Yes.
They will have to give us a response and clarify the situation, especially in terms of these pensions and all of that. Because already lots of people complain that they work for so many years and what they get in terms of their retirement benefits or pensions are so low. So SNITs will have to respond because that can send the system into all kinds of places. People can panic and all of that.
Yeah,
so
because when people decide that they are not going to pay again, of course, it is unlawful that you say you won't pay it. They can prosecute you. But when people are compelled to do something, and the expectation is that at the end of the day, they will be rewarded with some good pay at the end of their service to the country, I think that the state has
We need to get the full context of the report.
Very important.
Then report. But I just wanted to sort of come back to where I was going, because you asked me where I was, and I was just saying that 1 week has given us so much material about what is happening in the country, and I want to reiterate that people who lead sectors as ministers should take responsibility. Because without mentioning names, and somebody starts to mention names, sometimes when you mention it, they'll say because somebody is your friend or whatever. Some ministers are doing well, all right? Some ministers are doing. I don't want to talk about the president because it's not. I don't know.
But that's where the buck stops.
I feel like he's giving up. His body language. The president I saw in 2017.
It's not the same we're seeing now.
When I saw him announce his first batch of ministers, the way he went about his work, when I listen to his speeches, when I see his gait. When I watch him today, the spark is gone. And I feel like that's also sensed, because leadership gives a signal. You see, when you see your boss come into the office, if the economy is beating your boss and he looks down, you also take a cue from it. So usually, even your boss, when he comes, hey guys, what up? Sometimes
when it comes to the polo shirts,
sometimes we have a difficult season. We have a difficult season, and we go for management meeting, and you expect him to say things are tough. Then he'll start by cracking a joke, and then he will
diffuse the tension.
Then we try again. So the ministers take a cue from the president. So the president cannot do everything, but he said. So as I said something. Attitude is not everything, but attitude can make everything better or worse.
Right.
It's the same thing. So let's qualify it. The president can't do everything. But you see, when the country is failing, or when the potential of the country is not being realized, it's called the law of the lead. It's the leader. Now, I feel like something is gone. Maybe the incumbency and the fact that he's not going to win a ballot again is affecting the way he sees things. Maybe there's a certain lack of coordination, because now there are people who want to ensure the vice president wins. They are focused on that. And then there are people who are helping him to govern, who are really not doing it with the full attention. I don't know. But there's something that's missing. So the queue, you can see that in if one or two ministers are really pushing. All right. Some are pushing because maybe they feel they have a point to prove, or they are new. But if you look at galamsey, for example, you've appointed, who is the name, Ophelia something as Minister of Environment. Honestly, I don't have anything against her, but where's the drive? Have we heard her made any public statement? Is there any impetus? What's her marching orders? What's she supposed to try and do? Of course, Minister of Environment previously was trying. Ameru started it. They handed it to Frimpong Boateng. It was first lands and it was given to, and Frimpong Boateng clearly has been pushed out because the approach he used was not endorsed by the powers that be. So now he's almost like an outcast. So if you are a new Minister of Environment, you take a cue. Say, hey, when Frimpong Boateng tried this is where he is now. So let me just toe my line. Do you see where I'm going? So the body language of the president doesn't suggest that he wants to solve galamsey. So everybody's taking a cue. If tomorrow, if he had sacked somebody caught in galamsey directly implicated in his own party, you think people will not wake up and say, Charlie, the guy is serious about galamsey? So he's sending the wrong signal. The body language is not right. You get it? And then there are new ministers now. They are all junior ministers. Now they are not even, some of them have not even been given the full mandate by Parliament. They are looking at the political situation and say, what? So basically we're in a difficult situation where at the time we need the most strong, effective leadership. The old ministers are tired, they've been replaced by new ministers who are looking over their shoulder. And
better not to cut you, just a quick one, but those who are also in charge of agencies that should be working, people are going to Parliament.
Half of them, half of them are running to Parliament. The other half are not really sure. So my point is that we are in a difficult place, because the signal the president should send for people to keep the main thing, because you see, between now and December, problems will not say, oh, they are doing campaign. Terrorists from Burkina Faso will not say, because they are doing campaign, we won't come. El Nino will not say, because they are doing campaign, we will not strike. Do you get it? So as for bad things, they will happen. So my argument is that between now and December, we need the most effective leadership. Now, there's been a change in the guard, but that change in the guard is not complete because some of the people have not even been approved. And those who have been approved too, we are not sure if they've been put there because they have specific marching orders, like Environment Ministry. What is their mandate? Fine. When I interviewed the minister for housing, he said to me his marching orders were 2. Do what you can about Saglemi and try and bridge the housing deficit. So you can see he's doing what he's doing with Saglemi. But a lot of these people, it's also their background and their training. A lot of the ministers that are doing was because of
their competence,
where he's from. So maybe he already has his own system in place. He has people he works with. He has media connections and things. Because a lot of them are looking over their shoulder. And I'm not picking on Environment Minister, but I'm saying, if you are Environment Minister today, what are your marching orders? Because we are facing the greatest ecological catastrophe in a generation. Have you heard a statement from the Minister of Environment or the outgoing one about galamsey in the past 1 month in the news?
Nope.
Meanwhile, these 2 weeks, there have been even demonstrations in the Western region about galamsey. I've done 2 shows on galamsey in March. All right? So if your minister outgone or new has not said anything about it, meanwhile it's threatening cocoa. Cocoa board said that very soon EU will not accept our cocoa because it's not sourced from, now they're saying deforestation, and deforestation is really code for galamsey. All right, so now your cocoa is going. Two things: people are selling cocoa farms to galamseyers, or they are taking cocoa farms by force. And now, because your cocoa is not ethically sourced, it may not even be bought. All right, so, and you have old farmers you cannot replace, and then you have water bodies being polluted with cyanide and mercury. Go and see Cocoa Board CEO; he's almost in tears. Yet you have a Minister of Environment; she can't say anything because the body language of the person who appointed her does not seem to encourage any proactive action about galamsey, and we are all looking on. Babies are being born in Wasai Kropon with deformed body parts. Media has shown this consistently. Ghana Medical Association, those people, they are all there. They are all watching on. Because when you say it, president will not be happy with you. But are we living for president to be happy with us? Is that why we are here on earth? People must get up and do the right thing. Show everybody has, and I'm saying that the president needs to save his whatever is left of his problematic legacy. That between now and December, I'm telling you, somebody has to speak to it to say, look, all the problems are linked. The power, the water, the water people, when you put them on it, they cannot tell you because they don't want to be seen to be saying. The water people, they are spending more money to buy chemicals. Mm-hmm. They are abstracting debris into the machine. The machines are spoiling faster. Mm-hmm. So the machine that must last a year may last for 6 months. Yeah. The cost of producing water is more. Yep. Do you get it? Now the power crisis is now worsening. When the power cuts off, they have to restart the whole thing. That's why you see the water brown, because it starts. So even the machine, and it's investing.
The contaminator one gets into the system.
$30 million in one instance to replace a machine for water.
That's a Temabusta station.
The water basins. I have the river basins. All the river basins. It's as if God decided to give us a trick. All our galamsey, all our minerals, they are components of river basin, except the volta. But even the volta, the black volta, the white volta, they have minerals there. So when you do illegal mining in water bodies, you are polluting the water. So it's almost like choose between gold and water to drink. And we've chosen for this gold, and we are doing it in an unsustainable way. And the environment minister hasn't made a statement, whether in parliament, in the news. She hasn't even come on and said, okay, there are caretaker ministers working. As I'm speaking to you, the information minister caretaker is working. Is he working?
Yes.
Has anybody taken it to court? Yes. So people are not. We are not putting leaders there. We are putting people there as placeholders. Because if you make somebody an environment minister, even take a tour of galamsey site and get media to even tell your story for you, even if you are afraid, you are just there. Yeah. And we are seeing this massive devastation because the leader doesn't seem interested. And I don't know whether those around him are not telling him that the legacy he's leaving is a bad one. You see, if you love somebody, I'll tell you, when I do my show, my boss tells me that you didn't do well, it's not because he hates me. When somebody likes you, they'll tell you the right thing. The worst day in the life of a person is when people cease to tell you the truth. When the people around you, it's like the empress new clothes. You are naked, but they don't tell you. They don't love you. It's because they say, you get me?
Yeah.
If the situation we are in, from finance economic, to
ecological,
cost of living, to power, to ecological, all of those crises have one thing at the center: bad leadership. Bad. Don't blame citizens. The culture of a place is the behavior its leaders permit. That's the culture of a place, whether a home, a company, a factory, or a country.
Things happen because
the culture of a place, and I'm using culture not in terms of drumming and dancing, but the way things are done. The culture of Cote d'Ivoire, the culture of Nigeria, the culture of Ethiopia is the behavior its leaders permit consistently over time. And they use rewards and punishment to incentivize or disincentivize behavior. Our leaders have incentivized irresponsible citizenship. So if they want to change this ecological suicide we are committing with galamsey and its concomitant problems of water crisis and health crisis and financial crisis and all the things it's causing, the leader must wake up. He must wake up and lead, because between now and December is a long time. And whether we are going to vote or not, we must live, we must survive. The country must progress, we must make money, we must make impact. So we can't use elections as the basis of everything. So everything they do, they calculate, will he help Baumia or hurt him? Let him do his campaign for his presidency. Let those in power, in charge, do the work. Because the ship of state has to be manned, elections or not. And as I talk to you now, even the lack of a doomsday timetable is emblematic of failed leadership. Because you cannot be putting power off and not tell people when to expect power and expect them to be happy with you. The election you are trying to save by not giving us a doomsday timetable, you will perform worse. Because first it was disappointment, now it's anger. I can be disappointed I don't have power, but if I have a timetable, I can say I have power 3 days, so I'll work for 2 days. Now you are not giving a timetable. My disappointment is now transformed into anger. So now when they vote, they will vote with anger and they will meow the ballot.
That's why I will use our
lifetime. So the leadership failure is key. And if we don't tell him that his legacy, what is left of it, is under threat of complete ignominy, he has to rise and let the people do the work. Call the energy minister to order. Tell the environment minister to get into the galamsey situation. That's what we need to do. Make sure you can dredge. Don't tell me you need $600 million for it. Do something before the rains come, so that it doesn't compound our problem with flooding. That's what we need to do. This is my frustration.
But sometimes we saw a certain kind of leadership during the COVID crisis, right? Where everyone was people were afraid. People were frustrated. People didn't know what to do. And at that time, the world shut its borders to us, and we had to look inside. There was leadership. Whether we go out, what we will do.
Leadership is always easier when the followership is afraid.
Is it?
Yes. When there's fear among the followership, leadership is very consistent.
Right.
They will follow anyway. Listening to Bernard,
Was in one direction.
It puts my mind everywhere, except I'm not able to pinpoint what we can do as a nation. And a book that I read many years ago by John Cotter. John Cotter, for those of you MBA students who remember John Cotter, for Change Management.
Right.
And the title of the book is A Sense of Urgency.
A Sense of Urgency.
A Sense of Urgency.
John Cotter.
And I think that everybody in the political space, from the district assembly level to the top at the presidency, everybody in Jubilee House should read this book by John Cotter, A Sense of Urgency. And it prescribes what it takes to manage where we find ourselves as a country. Because if we don't ring the bell to increase our awareness about the degree of urgency to get things done. I mean, I'm not going to list all the things Bernard has listed, because they are plain and obvious to us.
Yeah.
And, the degree of deterioration keeps increasing in the environment.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what we jokingly nicknamed galamsey has now been turned to poison because it was a mining crisis, which is now an environmental disaster, which is now a water security disaster. Okay? Now, from water security disaster, it's becoming an economic problem because it's costing Ghana Water 10 times in certain instances how much it cost them 10 years ago or even 5 years ago to process the water to make it potable. And yet we are not ringing the bell of urgency. Business as usual. Minister comes in, reads speech to somebody, and then sits in their V8, and then they leave and work is done. It is the recipe for further disaster. Because look, we have done all the conversations around cocoa.
Precisely.
Since me, I was a kid, cocoa has been everything I have known about, Ghana, uncontested.
GDP and things.
Everything's about cocoa. Cocoa. My grandfather was best cocoa farmer in Central Region for over almost 20 years.
Wow.
So cocoa is cocoa like that. Now this same cocoa, which has been the mainstay of our economy, is under threat. And the signs are visible for all of us to see. I visit the cocoa farms. Last week, I was in the cocoa farms. I was in the cocoa farms in the Denchamboa district. And I almost wept. Caleb, I almost wept.
You've cleared the thing, eh?
People are wiping off the cocoa farms. Wiping. I'm not even... Look, they are wiping with bulldozers. And then they wipe, they cordon off, and they start digging. And the villagers are helpless. They are completely helpless. In another 5 years, we'll start seeing the outcomes. When our cocoa products are finally
rejected
on the global market, that is when we will see our folly as a nation. We are watching these things happen. And yet when you talk about it, some people think that your aim is to make government unpopular. If we talk about things like cocoa, and yours is to think that we are making government unpopular, then there's something wrong with you.
You need help.
I don't get it.
Then there's something fundamentally wrong with your thinking. That in talking about water security for our country, it makes a government unpopular, so we shouldn't talk about it. Then you should be checked into the asylum yourself. Because we are seeing it with our eyes. Every water body down south is now brown. And guess what? We are now at a place where we are believing that it's normal.
That's how it should be.
The new normal.
We have become conditioned to the situation.
Last week or two, there was a video making the rounds. I don't know whether I saw it on CNN, of children having their bath. They were swimming in the brown water.
I showed
No, it was on Point of View.
I showed it to you.
Yes. They were swimming
in the polluted water.
In the polluted water.
That's what they've come to meet.
Mercury, everything inside.
Yeah.
And no agency. We showed it. Nobody has said anything. But politicians cannot force us, and I repeat, cannot force us to take this as normal. To take this thing as normal, that our water is in trouble, our environment in trouble,
our agriculture,
cocoa is in trouble, and you think that it should be normal. It's not normal. It's not normal. Look, for me, I've always maintained in the last 3-4 months that the Greek minister was Brian Champon took over. We are hearing good things about agriculture, but he's not God. If he's putting in the effort and we are depleting our lungs and degrading the environment with galamsey and nobody, no, we have come to a place, Kai, that if we don't take care, even media people who talk about galamsey
will join it.
No, we are under threat.
Oh yeah,
that's what it is.
We are under threat because the people have become so powerful that the more you talk about it, the more you become a target.
Oh yeah,
they'll come after you.
That's what happens in some of the smaller media
community
markets.
Radio stations.
Yes, you talk about galamsey, you can't sleep in your own house.
Wow,
is that bad?
Even the police in these communities fear to handle the galamsey issue. And we are watching as if this is where we give up. Please, Nanado, when you stood at the Black Star Square and made the declarations, you assured us of bringing back sanity. Put your presidency on the line with this galamsey. I'm not so sure. I am not so sure whether we have made any progress with this galamsey issue. Indeed, I can say boldly that we have retrogressed.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
And it will be a very, very unfortunate commentary on the leadership of Nana Akufo-Addo if we don't do something urgently about this galamsey. Nana,
No.
do something about this thing.
This one, Sir Shaq says things have been worse in the last 8 years, but I think you guys are late to the party because your voices went on hibernation for some time. Every opportunity we, the privileged, get is to brighten the corner where we are. Okay. Ni from Choco says, do you think a Ghanaian will dare do these things the Chinese do here in China? Swift justice, likely death, because these actions lead to the deaths of other people. We are joking as a country. God save us. This one says, are soldiers prepared in case war breaks out? The galamsey issue is a form of warfare, and if we don't address it in the next 5 years, serious health issues will affect Ghana. As I speak to you, children have started developing heart problems and kidney issues in Ghana. Okay, and kidney issues in Ghana are on the rise. What actions are soldiers taking to address this war? Ghana is in trouble. Says we should stop singing the national anthem. DJ Nature sent that. And I got a message from a medical practitioner who was confirming that it is true. The kidney, you find that the incidence of kidney disease and all of that is growing amongst these areas where the galamsey is happening. This one says, I say Ghanaians are just storytellers and problem discussers. Can't the public decide to shut down the economy by getting up one day and deciding that they are not engaging in any economic activity if the doomsday schedule is not produced? We need to be radical enough for the death hearing and adamant government to listen to the populace. King George from Surrey in the UK. Mimi Pokrasi is back. He says the president hasn't given up. He's checked out. That's why we are where we are. This one says, I'm touched by the passion with which you speak about our country's governance crisis. I'm thinking about how possible it is for our citizens to organize a session for our leaders, the president, his ministers, opposition leaders, MPs, chiefs in a single room and repeat what you have shared and add more. We always have the State of the Nation's address where the president speaks to citizens. We should also have the State of the Citizens' Affairs where the president needs to listen to us. Park Kofi in Lakeside. I visited my village called Aketecheso, okay, in the Ashanti region, where the Obuasi airport is, and I couldn't believe the devastation of farms and forests. I couldn't recognize the village I used to visit as a child. All the water bodies now look like Tom Brown. I asked around, and the names of the owners of these galamsey sites and excavators shocked me. The names include prominent people in society, footballers, movie stars, political personalities, and persons of respectable profiles. Says there was never a fight against galamsey. George from Kaswa. Maxwell Intema says, the president you saw in 2017 was just settings. Charlie, boys are lucky. Kaba says, but the issue about this government appointee is that they know nobody can do anything to them, even if they don't perform. This one says the excuse for the president doesn't cut it for me. If the president doesn't feel like working, he should step down. Whether you are in your final year or last few months, you still have a responsibility, and we have to hold you accountable. Let's please hold him accountable the same way. This one says, Bernard, babies with deformed body parts is why I said people should be sentenced to death. Publicize it to put fear into them. When that foreigner is put to death, the next one on that flight will go back home. The 20 years in prison is not enough. And also, Ghanaians must read The Bird, the Creeping Plant.
Wait, let me just say something. You see, one of the key arguments against the death penalty for even people who commit murder is that even people still kill, regardless of the fact that the death penalty is on the statute books in many countries for murder. Do you understand? So if someone knows that when he kills another, he will be killed, right? He will not kill, ideally. But in many cases, the law courts still see cases of murder and determinations being made. And then also the argument, the matter you raised about killing someone who ideally should not have been killed because for some reason there was miscarriage of justice in the course of the trial. So I understand the passion with which you drive that point, and I myself held that point long before I became a lawyer. You know, but there are times that you have to tamper some of these things with superior knowledge as to what happens in circumstances like that. We have to be fair and firm to deal with galamsey. The people responsible have to be punished. But you see, what we are seeing is a lack of urgency on the part of all the people who are in the chain. It is not only the Minister for Environment who is failing. The Attorney General, his office, also has got a role to play in this. They are the people who should be lining them up in the courts for them to be prosecuted. The police, their job is to go into the communities, investigate the people responsible for illegal mining, arrest them, get them to the cells, prepare a docket on them, and drag them to the courts or get the docket to the Attorney General's department and let the AG prosecute. Right? And the courts, the justices of our country, they also have a responsibility. What's their duty? When these guys are brought before them, nobody is asking them to engage in kangaroo decisions. We are asking that these matters be to a large extent prioritized, fast-track the trial while observing all the cardinal principles involved in fair trial, so that people are given the opportunity to defend themselves fairly, and we exact punishment because the weight of evidence is in favor of justice against them, that they have not done themselves what ought to have been done.
Right.
So the point I'm making is that we should not have the impression that, oh, it is just a certain ministry or just a certain group of people. No. And we, the citizens, how have we sunk so low as to think that anything for money is fair game? Anything, including evil things in this country, for money is fair game. That is how bad things are. Because if you know that the water that your mother drank to eventually give birth to you is the river that runs just next door, and that's the river that you use to wash your things, you use to cook over the years, yet because someone said that there's gold in there, and because your dream is to drive Toyota Corolla, that is your only dream, nothing beyond that. You don't want to go to school, you don't want to grow yourself, you don't want to increase your capacity in any way. All you want to do is to become the owner of Toyota Corolla, so that you have the opportunity to go on TikTok and show off, to wear bling bling chain, to wear new sneakers. That is your only dream. And so you connive with a visiting foreigner. You get into the belly of the water that you used all these while, and you destroy it. And you, the neighbor, you watch it. You have decided that, look, as for this one, is not your matter. Or you have joined them to destroy the water body. We are in Accra. We don't have our eyes everywhere. But in these communities, there are human beings. There are Ghanaians. There are law enforcement officers. There are district chief executives. There are pastors. There are imams. These people who do these things, they go to churches every single Sunday. And there are people who go into the mosque every single Friday. In some cases, every day. And there are traditionalists who do know that some of these water bodies are what? Deities. And that if you do A, B, C, D, C would happen to you. Yet, have we amplified our voices on the pulpit, in the mosque, in the shrines, as to get people to know that what they are doing is wrong? Or we are looking the other way? When they come and the tithe is heavy, we are happy. When they come and the schnapps have increased from 2 bottles to 10 bottles, we are happy.
Sky.
The point I'm making is that we all have a role to play as citizens. As for the president, I don't have much to say about him, because we all saw the promise he made, and about 9 or so months to the end of the life of his presidency, all of us can see how much of a mess has been made of the promise he made to Ghanaians. How much of a mess. And ultimately, he should remember that history will put his presidency on trial. It is not about the ministers, so it is not about the hangers on, the people around, the people who are chipping things into your ears, the DCEs. It is your presidency that will be on trial.
But
I mean, if you read many of these international reports, they talk about unemployment
as
being
a national security
one
issue.
of the biggest security issues that nations are facing. If the streets are unhappy, national security is on the edge.
That's true.
So some of these things we see in Galamsey is also part of the lack of opportunities for
Sky. Our model for solving the unemployment situation in Ghana is flawed completely.
wrong.
Yeah.
That unemployment, in order to solve it, you have to employ more people into the civil service and the public services. Which textbook defined that to resolve the unemployment issue, increase the employment sizes in public services, then you have solved unemployment? Whose thinking is that?
The cheap
You're
side.
not creating jobs.
And they are not thinking
Create
producing
opportunities.
anything.
Create opportunities for people to be, one, employable,
Yes.
and then two, to be able to employ.
Right.
And to be able to engage in value-laden economic activities. That is what eradicates unemployment. It's not pushing people in SEPs, pushing people in police, pushing, and then you say you have, and then you can't
1
tell us that
million
you have.
jobs.
No, politicians.
jobs.
Look, we've all been to school. School, we have all been to school.
they have done JIDA. They have done.
It is not
community
sustainable.
The latest one they are doing is what?
Oh, that
Sky.
one is faced
It is not.
NABCO
Look,
was faced.
last week I was in Akwetia. I was in Akwetia in the Eastern region.
You met a lot of young people who are
Papa,
idling about.
Since the demise of caste, caste, the diamond mines there is a pitiful sight. And it's not, they are not waking up thinking that someone is kind of just put them in police and they are looking for something to do with their lives. Something they can be proud of, something, and it's creating opportunities. That's what creates employment. It's not enlisting people in this. That. We should move away from that.
Yeah, man.
We have land in all the regions.
Arable land.
Land.
Lands.
Land.
And look, Papa, Tanzania, that we thought that we were ahead of them. Go and see what they have done with their rail transport.
Yeah.
You will be shocked. Their rail transport in Tanzania. And they have rail transport and they've moved to electric rails. Electric trains in Tanzania.
You're still dealing with DMUs.
And they don't go and pour baller in the trains. Nobody goes to park a truck across the. We should get serious. We should just get serious.
Let's just get serious, people.